Good evening and welcome to the January voting meeting of the Exeter Township School Board of Directors. Mr. Fike's going to start us off with a roll call of board members tonight.
Allison Wilson.
Present.
Hunter Ahrens.
Present.
John Fiddler.
Here.
Dr. Ann Herring.
Present.
Dr. David Hemberger.
Here.
Michael Japina. You're on mute. Mr. Japina, are you here? You're on mute.
I'm here.
Thank you. Dr. Sharon McClendon.
Here.
Uri Miller.
Here.
Michelle Stratton. I saw your mouth move.
Yeah.
All present. All present.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start off today with our superintendent's report. Dr. Minor.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. It's a pleasure to give my report this evening. We have had a successful return to school post-holidays. As you know, we have had a few buildings that have had to close over the past couple of weeks due to the governor's attestation orders, but everybody has done a great job of logging on virtually, participating in school, and getting right back to school. So we thank everyone for their ongoing support and understanding in regards to those efforts. And we'd like to continue to thank parents and students and families for being forthcoming with the district regarding their COVID status and allowing us to do our best to keep everybody in our school community safe. So we are grateful for that. We are rounding out the second semester, looking forward to the third and fourth semester. Secondary students, maybe experiencing changes of classes. And so we look forward to the excitement of that as well. The main thing I wanted to talk about tonight, though, was the fact that it is school board or school directors appreciation month. And for those of you in the community who aren't aware, we of course have a 9-member school board, as is the requirement. And our school board members serve on the school board without being paid. They spend a tremendous amount of time in the meetings that you see publicly, both our committee of the whole meeting and our voting meeting, but they also spend a tremendous amount of time preparing for the meetings, reading, educating themselves on the phone with me and others, advocating at the state level, meeting with state legislators, working with the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. So I, as a superintendent, want to really take this opportunity to thank our school board. My mother was on the school board when I was in college and a young adult. And it was back in the day when the van would drive up to our house and leave what I would swear was a 10-foot stack of papers for my mom to read to prepare to be ready for the school board meeting. And now those are electronic, but there's nonetheless still a ton for school board members to do in preparation. So as a child of a school board member, I genuinely appreciate that it can be a thankless job, that people often don't hesitate to say when they're unhappy with the decision and forget to say when they are happy or how much they appreciate the effort and the time that goes into what you do. And the fact that the 9 of you do it with grace and with concern for the school community, and I believe out of a place of genuine desire to serve the Exeter community. I thank you on behalf of the entire school community. And I'm very pleased to share that a number of our administrators have joined together with their students to show you their gratitude tonight in the form of a video that they've created. And so, Mr. Calamita, if you would share that video with the board and the community at this point, that would be great.
Hello, Exeter Township School Board members. My name is Renee Mosser, and I'm the principal of Jackson Walls. And I wanted to just take a moment to let you know how much I appreciate your efforts and dedication to our school district and our community. So what does the school board do, Tommy?
Men and women who volunteer their time and make decisions for the school.
What kinds of decisions do they make, Cara?
They make decisions on our safety of our schools, if we should go back or not. They make decisions on the sports and the arts and on our academics.
Well, what do you want to be when you grow up, Tommy?
An accountant.
And how can the school board help you get there?
Strong math and reading for my education.
Cara, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A veterinarian.
And how can the school board help you get there?
By having strong science programs for high school.
From all of the administrators here in Exeter Township School District, we want to personally thank our school board members because we believe you are purple people. That's right. The world needs more purple people, and that's people like you, because purple people are superheroes. Thank you for all that you do.
Happy School Board Director Recognition Month. This year, more than ever, we are so grateful for the leadership and support from our committed and diverse school board directors. Thank you from the Lorraine community and from myself personally as a community member and parent. I also want to share some words from one of our third grade students, Kane, about his experience here at Exeter and his words of thanks as well.
I'm King Coley and I am in Mrs. DiCamilio's class and I'm in third grade. My friends and the teachers, they're really nice to me and they help me around the school. I'll learn some math and our teacher will read a book to us and we can draw while she reads the book to us. And we can also learn some science. The school board and the superintendent. Without them, our school wouldn't have any rules or anything. Thank you, school board. Thank you for all your work and how much you put into it.
This is Christy Coble, principal of Owatton Creek Elementary School. Thank you to the entire Exeter Township School District School Board for the dedication and support you provide to all of our students and our community. You are true examples of what servant leadership is all about. Chase Duran, an amazing third grade student in Mrs. Jarzakrak's classroom, would also like to give his thanks.
Thank you for keeping our school safe at this time, and thank you for keeping all the students at our school safe. Thank you all.
Happy School Director Recognition Month. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Rifton School, I would like to thank you for your hard work and dedication to the Exeter Township School District. Over the last 18 years, I've been impressed with how much time our board devotes to ensuring that the students of Exeter receive a high quality and rigorous education. We thank you for volunteering your time to support teachers and staff, adopt policies that allow students to succeed, establish the budget, set high academic standards, and create a safe and positive district culture. Each day, our staff gets to reap the rewards of your decisions. We recognize the fact that you often have to make difficult decisions, but we greatly appreciate that you listen to all views and work to make decisions that benefit everyone. Thank you for your service and tireless dedication of time and energy. We truly appreciate you.
Hello, my name is Daniel Wolf and I'm a 6th grade student at Rifton. My favorite things to do are playing sports and playing with my dog Bacon. My favorite food are wings and meatballs when my dad makes them when the Cowboys play. My dad is also a 5th grade teacher at Rifton School. My favorite thing about school is getting to see everyone every day. I would like to thank the school board members for everything they do for the students. I am glad to be back in the building because I think it is easier to learn in person.
Hello, board members. On behalf of everyone here at the junior high, I want to offer a sincere thank you for serving our school district and our community so well. Your job certainly isn't easy. You make many difficult decisions on a wide range of issues, and you do this thoughtfully and with genuine care and concern. And the time and effort that you invest voluntarily to ensure the quality of our district is admirable. We appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you again for all that you do for all of us, and happy School Board Appreciation Month.
I'm Richter Bogus, and I'm the Exeter Junior High School Student Council President. On behalf of all the students at the junior high school, I want to wish you a very happy School Board Appreciation Month. We all appreciate all the things you allow us to do, the opportunities you provide us through a wide variety of courses, fun and unique clubs, musical opportunities, and sports all help prepare us for the future. Thank you. Thank you for your time and commitment in helping us receive a great education.
On behalf of the high school, I'm honored to have this opportunity to thank the school board for your service. You are unsung heroes in our community. Thank you for your commitment to our students, and it's my pleasure to introduce some of them here. Lily Farinelli, Haley Himmelreich, Trish Tran, Leah Schmid, and Hensika Kunduru are our class presidents and officers. As leaders in the high school, I cannot think of a better group to express appreciation for all that you have offered us. Lily.
What the school board consists of is strong leadership through challenges and celebrations, clarity through debate and decision-making, and a sustained vision of excellence for our district. All of these qualities are essential for organizations to be successful. Thank you for your great amount of service to both our district and community.
Thank you for ensuring that we get the education we need, especially during this pandemic. There are several students who went into this year wondering what would become of our education. We have seen how teachers have taken time to change and develop our lesson plans so it is effective for the virtual and hybrid learning that we have now adapted to. Despite this difficult time, you have made sure that we still are able to receive the education we want and need.
Thank you for encouraging the students to make the most out of their education in Exeter by getting involved with sports and athletics. The school board has put in a lot of time and effort into ensuring that students have the ability to put themselves out there and focus on their physical health and leadership abilities through sports. Thank you for all that you've done to grow the program and encourage students to join and get involved.
Our school board has put necessary guidelines and precautions into place to ensure our district to be the safest it can be, given the current climate. Thank you all for keeping our safety your top priority, especially throughout the pandemic.
During these COVID-19 times, what stands out to me is how we're able to continue participating in the arts and music in our school. The school board has helped us students adjust to an online platform well and learn music through a screen. For example, there have been online concerts organized by the music teachers, which takes a large amount of time and effort on their ends.
Thank you for supporting us, the students, and the school.
So I hope that you all enjoyed that very much. I want to thank Missy Dow for editing it together, as well as all of the principals and students who were a part of making that. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I enjoyed it even more the second time, and I think it is very well deserved. So thank you, Mrs. Wilson. That's my report.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say that was absolutely wonderful. I could not even stop smiling, and just to hear, from all those students like that was, I couldn't stop smiling through the whole thing. Thank you so much. I really feel appreciated.
That was a great video, and it shows really too how much we've learned in the past year, because I bet putting together that video with all of the knowledge that we would not have been able to do that a year ago. So thank you so much for the administrators and the students who participated.
I want to say thank you too, and I hope we get to hear more from our students throughout the year. It was great seeing them and hearing from them.
Absolutely excellent job. That was really good. I thought it was wonderful. Thank you guys all. Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Okay. We are going to move on in our agenda then. The next portion of our agenda is public comments, and there are no public comments tonight. If you in the future are interested in making public comments during a voting meeting and it's a virtual meeting, you need to write in before the meeting starts, just so you notice for future reference. Okay, moving forward. If there is no objection, we will adopt a motion to approve meeting minutes from last month's school board meetings. Hearing no objections, the meeting minutes are approved. If there is no objection, we will adopt a motion to approve the December 2020 Treasurer's Report and payment requests dated December 16th, 2020 through January 19th, 2021.
Second.
You don't need a second. Hearing no objections, they are approved. Okay, moving on to Education Committee, Dr. McClendon.
Do I have my mute off? Okay. The first item there is the attachment of the December enrollment report. And the second thing is it's recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following Education Committee items. Items 1 through 6. Do I need to say any more about that, Mrs. Wilson, or you can just say it like that?
Just like that.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there is a motion and a second. All in favor?
But don't you have to ask about any discussion or anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, so
is there any debate?
All right, I don't have anything to discuss, but I just wanted to mention something under item 6, conference request, number 3. And I noticed that Ms. Nancy Gajewski, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but I just want to thank her for signing up for this conference. It's titled Fostering Anti-Racist Library Culture, and the purpose is how to create a library that is audited for equity and inclusiveness. And so that later I'm going to give our report on the equity committee, but that is, she's not on our committee, but she's doing some of the work that our committee wants our teachers to do. And that is to look at what you're doing in the classroom or, in the building, looking at it through an equity lens. So I just saw that. I just want to thank her for, signing up to take a course, conference like that.
Yeah,
that's it.
Maybe she might be able to report to your committee of what she learned.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Echo Sharon's comment about Mrs. Gajewski. She's always been one of the teachers I think that's well noted among the graduates and even the students, I think, too. And now that she's in the library position, I just think that that's very awesome. So thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to Mr. Japina, Personnel Committee.
Right. Trying to find it here. Sorry, guys. Hang in there.
I know. I've got papers. I've got the online thing. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, so it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel items. Am I to read all these?
You don't have to. You can just say 1 through 10.
Okay,
Can you actually separate extracurricular? Because I have a question about that.
sure. So it's recommended the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel items. Risk numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 4A, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we're just keeping out 4A. Is that correct, Dr. Hearing?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Japita, just because item 10 is a new one, can we separate out that? And may I speak to the board just generally about that as well?
Sure. So it's recommended the Board of School Directors approves every item but number 4, letter A under extracurricular staff, and number 10, addition of CSN or RN to provide adequate coverage of our buildings.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any debate? Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's carried. Go ahead.
It is recommended the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel items. Under number 4, extracurricular staff, letter A, Matthew S. Livingood, senior high assistant football coach at a salary of $4,575. Category 2, level 4, effective for the 2021-2022 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any debate?
I was just wondering, is this to replace an assistant coach or is this to add to the roster?
I'm actually not sure. I just texted Tom Lagath. He's jumping on the call on the meeting to respond to your question. I'm assuming that it's to replace a position, but I couldn't tell you definitively.
Thank you, Dr. Howler, for doing that.
Do we want to?
Do you want to move on to the next one?
We can, do you want to make a motion to, Mr. Katz, should we table that and come back to it? Is that the way to do it?
No, you can move on to number 10 and then come back
Okay.
after response is provided.
Okay.
Mrs. Wilson, is it, my screen is blurry for the agenda. Is anybody else's or that's my computer?
Mine is not blurry.
Oh.
Mine's a little blurry.
I suspect that it has more to do with our own computers than it probably does with the presentation, though.
You might not have to do that, Tom. Just he can't jump on the meeting. I think he's having a hard time getting on, but he responded and said that it is in fact a replacement.
Great, thank you, Dr. Howler, for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody else that would like to say anything about it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, 9-0, motion carries.
Recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel item. Number 10, addition of a certified school nurse or registered nurse to provide adequate coverage of our school buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Japina.
Dr. Minor,
Do we have to second it first?
we have a
Oh,
second.
sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Go ahead, Dr. Minor.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. I just wanted to pull this one out because we hadn't spoken about it in any previous meeting or discussion. We have been working very hard to make sure that we have nursing coverage at all times and in all buildings, especially during the pandemic, but it's of course always important for our students who are diabetic or have other medical needs. We have not been able to consistently have our health room assistants positions being filled by nurses. Right now, nurses are in extremely high demand, as you can imagine. They're always in high demand, but the pandemic has put an additional stress on that. So in speaking with Mrs. Harris, our Pupil Services Director who oversees nurses, and Dr. Howler who oversees personnel, today we finally felt like we had done our best to provide coverage through other means outside of asking the board to approve this position tonight, and that we really needed to do it to ensure that we always had nursing coverage in our building. So the way that the proposal is written is for a CSN. A CSN is a certified school nurse, or an RN, which is a registered nurse, which you would be familiar with and just read a regular course of medical care. A certified school nurse is able to do certain things by law in Pennsylvania. It's a recognized certificate under the Pennsylvania Department of Education, much like a teaching certificate, including doing vision screenings and so forth. Our certified school nurses, as per our teachers collective bargaining unit, are paid at 100% of the collective bargaining unit's salary structure, and an RN without a certificate is paid at 88%. We are asking the board to approve that we post it as either or, not both. We're not looking for two positions out of this. I just wanted to clarify that, because we want to cast as wide a net as possible to try to obtain someone as soon as possible. So I just wanted to provide the board with those areas of clarity. And if there are any questions before proceeding with the vote, I would be happy to, of course, answer them.
Just one question here. Would the existing nurses be able to apply for this position?
All of our existing nurses are in these positions. So if they're certified school nurses, they're serving as a CSN. If they're a registered nurse, they're serving as an RN. So this would be an external posting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Miner, is this position necessary just for the extent of the COVID pandemic, or is this going to go beyond?
Dr. Hemberger, that's a great question. It will certainly go beyond. Again, we as students have more and more complex medical needs, which is something that I think school districts everywhere are seeing more and more students who present with diabetes, who present with severe allergies to peanuts or other sorts of things. You really want to make sure that you have always someone in your nurse's office. And so this position would be a floating position. So they would have a regular office in one of the buildings, but if a nurse called out sick, we would deploy them to that building, et cetera. The cost of securing a nurse through a nursing agency is very, very high on a per diem basis. And that, of course, is even difficult right now during the pandemic to do. So this is something that would be post-pandemic as well, to meet all of the medical needs of our students. But of course, it's come to a head right now, with the pandemic and the demands that our nurses are facing.
Okay, thank you.
Minor, are all of our positions currently that exist filled with school nurses or RNs?
Mrs. Harris, do you want to speak to that?
They are. We currently have 4 certified school nurses. The others are RNs, and we have 1 LPN who is a floating health room assistant.
I just seem to recall earlier this year and maybe even last year, we had trouble filling those positions. So I think
that's correct, Mr. Aaron. So we have been having a lot of trouble filling the LPN positions, and because we haven't been able to fill those positions for an extended period of time, and those are lower dollar amount positions, and we really wanted to exhaust that possibility, balancing, safety and financial responsibility. We feel like at this point, we're really not going to be able to secure those positions at this time, and that by posting it as an RN or a CSN, we're much more likely to be able to fill that and have the coverage we need.
What's the acronym for LPN?
Help me out, Mrs. Harris. I'm not a nursing expert.
Licensed practical nurse.
There you go. Mr. Javina knows about medical.
that training is less than what a registered nurse has to go through.
Training, yes, but some LPNs are most LPNs are outstanding, especially those who are experienced.
And I will add that our LPN is outstanding.
It is a question of training and certification, Mr. Aaron's, like so many things.
So we haven't had the same trouble with filling our certified school nurses and registered nurses. The real challenge has been with the LPN.
Mr. Aaron's, we haven't gone out recently with a CSN or an RN search. We've been doing exclusively LPNs up until this point. And so now we're going to take a stab at RNs and CSNs and see if we can secure one. We don't know if it will be impossible to do or not, but we can't post or go forward with it without the board's approval. So if the board approves it tonight, we'll post for it tomorrow, and then we'll see how we do.
Maybe I'm just misremembering what had happened in the past, but I thought we were having a lot of trouble finding RNs and CSNs, and that's
it's never easy. I mean, and we may not be successful, but again, this is step one is the board approving that we can posting tomorrow, and then we'll obviously either bring someone to the board for approval in February, or we'll come back to the board and say, we're continuing to look, and then while we're looking, we're having to use agencies and other sources to cover our needs, which is not ideal for a number of reasons. They don't know the students, they don't know the buildings, and then of course are hard to secure and incredibly expensive. So we'll see how we do, but you're not wrong. It's hard to find nurses of any type. It's an in-demand field. I would encourage our students out there to consider medical professions and nursing along with teaching. We also need good quality teachers and a good supply. So thank you. That's all I have on that topic. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion from board members? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 9-0. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jupina. And moving on to Mr. Aaron's, Finance, Facilities, and Audit Committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following finance, facilities, and audit items: 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just a quick note on, well, I'll wait for a second, then I'll make my quick note.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a quick note on number 1, and this accords with Brian's email last week. There was a discussion among the business administrators throughout the county, and after they discussed it, they concluded that it wasn't necessary, or Brian concluded that it wasn't necessary for our tax collection rates to increase. So that's why this reflects a lower amount. I didn't think that that was necessitating of a separate vote, but if the need arises, we can certainly do that.
Okay, anything else? We have a, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motions carry 9-0.
It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the following finance, facilities, and audit items. Number 2, authorize the district administration to work with AEM Architects, Stackhouse Bensinger, and the district solicitor to seek the necessary Exeter Township variances required for a transportation center project at the Awatten Creek site.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So I will defer to Dave. Well, I can defer to Dave, but I'm prepared to go first because I'm sure that you'll have something to say about this, Dave.
Sure, go ahead, Hunter.
Okay. So previously, the board voted to table this same motion back in the fall, in part, I think, because of the anticipated cost that we would have with the new project. In the meantime, and what was briefly updated to the board last week, there has been another possibility that would come at considerably less cost than what we projected with the initial project with a new site at Watton Creek. There are some concerns about whether that cost will stay there or not, because it has to go out to bid, and those are always unknowns. But I would think that in the time that we have that item being explored, and that item being at almost $1 million less projected at this point, to refurbish the current facility at Kerr Road would be the wiser course of action at this point. And for that reason, I would suggest a motion to table. I'm not making that motion at this point because I want to offer up the opportunity to debate on the initial motion, but I'm prepared to make that motion in a few moments.
Yeah, and let me offer an alternative point of view, Hunter. I think we had a conversation during our committee of the whole couple of weeks ago, and we talked a little bit about some of the dilemmas that we have associated with the Kerr site, the Kerr Road site. And I think we heard pretty clearly from our transportation administrators about some of the difficulties that they anticipate, if we were to move forward with the Kerr Road site and that renovation. I think while there seems to be some level of appeal to the idea that we'd be able to save some money by simply renovating the current site, I think eliminate some of the real benefits that we get from a more expansive site location where we have a chance to expand our propane operations and to develop a facility that's commensurate with the quality of the transportation program that we know we do have. I know that Hunter, previously, you've kind of alluded to the idea that this putting a Band-Aid on a problem would be the equivalent of the move at the Kerr program. I think this evening, we're really not talking about making any specific decisions about, where we're going to build or whether we're going to renovate. I think what we're trying to do is to get some clarity, from the township in terms of whether or not the concept of being able to build a facility on our school property that's necessary for the operation of our educational programs and services is something we can actually do. And the township has the authority through the zoning hearing board to be able to say, yes, you can, or no, you can't. And we've taken this to court already in an effort to try to move forward with the building at Watton. That was denied in court, but the court basically remanded us back to this dialogue that we're supposed to really have, this process that we're supposed to have with the township, and seek their relief in this particular instance. So no decision is made this evening in terms of where we would build. The only thing this will do would be allow us to move forward with those discussions to see whether or not that option is available to us. And I don't think the board at this point right now to nix the Watton concept in its entirety. I don't think the board has really had sufficient opportunity to really fully review that. We've had some peripheral conversations, but the board has never really sat down and fully understood the merits of the current location or that proposed location. So I would recommend that we move forward with the proposed motion.
I was going to vote no to this in the fall, and that's where my vote still stands today. I believe that we're in the business of education, and we should be worrying about educating our students. And I think our time and our resources monetarily and other things should be focused on helping our students get the best education possible. So I think, yes, the Kerr Road facility needs to be updated. It needs to be safe for our employees, and it needs to be a working building that they're able to do their jobs in. But I think we need to fix it up, and I think we need to move on. When we say that the board hasn't had time for this, I mean, I feel like the board has spent years and years and years going back and forth on this. And I think it's time to move forward with a plan. And I think my plan would be fixing up Kerr Road and moving on.
If I may say, I was a little surprised and confused at our last meeting when renovation of Kerr property was presented as an option. Prior to that meeting, I had no idea that remodeling the present bus barn, building it up, was even an option. I also had no idea that the township had given us approval to do so. I'm in support, strong support of just fixing Kerr property so it can safely get our kids to and from the school and put a close to this chapter. I just worry that this continual discussion that I feel like we keep having month after month after month is equivalent to just kicking the can and going nowhere. I think that I agree with Allison. We need to focus our money on the kids and the education and getting us through COVID right now. And we need to put an end to continually talking about this if Kerr property is an option, as it seems as it is. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Well, I'll just kind of respond to both of those comments. I'll say again, that the property is 2.4 acres locked in between residential properties on a very dangerous section of Shelbourne Road that has been, a problem, for us in terms of the perception and I'm assuming sometimes some real concerns in regard to safety for our drivers. I think the other thing, we've heard in the past is that, we should invest in all of our programs. And one of the things that, when we had these discussions way back when, before many of you folks were even on the board, when we were talking about this with our former board members and our former committees, we talked about what this property is going to look like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. This does not represent the future. And this is, I think, a bad financial decision. This is throwing away good money to a project that really has a very limited lifespan and utility. Facilities construction and costs associated with that are spread out over a number of years. So the impact upon the actual educational costs, for our school district on a year-to-year basis is very minimal. I think of the other projects that we've embarked on, in this district, and we built a beautiful school at Watton. We built a great sports facility, and we didn't take shortcuts, on that. We provided and we put in place some facilities that we were proud of. I think this is a decision that we're making right now that we're going to be embarrassed about 5-10 years from now, and we're going to be kicking ourselves, and we're going to be saying, why do we do that? And we look at the sports facility. How many people do you hear now who are saying, why do we spend so much money for that? Nobody says that anymore. We're enjoying and we know that it was a good decision, and we did have to invest money in that. But that's the important part of what boards do, and that's thinking toward the future. And this is a very short-sighted, I think a very myopic kind of way to proceed. And I'll just have to say again, I'm disappointed with that. Those, the thoughts that we would construct here, because I just don't see it doesn't satisfy all of our needs. It doesn't take care of all of our busing concerns, as we heard very clearly from our bus administrators. And I think we should, at the very least, keep our minds open until we can resolve the issue as to whether or not this is even an option for Watton. That's all we're deciding tonight. We're just deciding whether or not we can, we should make a consideration on this. Again, I won't say anything more about it. That's my opinion.
I know there's a lot of things that I agree with what Dave's commented, and there's a lot of things that I agree with what Allison and Ann have also commented. I think one of the things too that's really critical here, I think, is that we're not talking about the refurbishment or the rehabilitation, whatever word or you want to use, to the Kerr Road facility. And to that, I have a question for Mr. Fike, if he could quick answer this. It's my understanding that most of the structure that currently exists would be leveled, including those wooden structures that are structurally unsafe, and replaced with bays that would significantly increase our ability to maintain our buses. And that if we were to utilize existing district properties, either Lorraine, Jackson, Wald, or elsewhere, we could alleviate the parking concerns that we have at that facility. Are both of those understandings correct?
Yes, the existing footprint would remain the same, but we basically tear it down and build up higher so we can put in 3 garages and storage.
In addition to that, Brian, is it fair to say that we have existing district property where we could create the ability to refuel propane buses if we continue to move in that direction in the future?
That is possible, yes.
Okay. So I think one of the things that we were talking about is the needs of what we would need in a transportation facility. And I think we all really recognize at this point that the current structure is unacceptable and we can't go forward with that. In addition to that, the community made a very clear indication, I feel, and I think that they did so in the election as well, to say that they wanted to keep transportation as an in-house service. Therefore, we need to make an investment like Dave was talking about. And I believe that that is a real need. We cannot have employees going to a building that is structurally unsafe. If we can find a way that Mr. Fike is recommending, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, Brian, so feel free to cut me off if I say something that isn't correct. But
I'm just giving an option.
Yeah.
I don't vote.
Using this option, you know, on paper right now, we're projecting a $1 million savings. Of course, you know, that's a moving target. There's a lot of work to be done. But starting off at that note, without having to do a lot of the site preparation work that we were looking at having to do with the Watton Creek, I think is an extremely important step that we need to follow through on. And I think, and I'll make this motion in a second to table, not taking this completely off and saying, no, we're not going to do this, but going full steam ahead with trying to gain the clarity around whether or not we're going to be able to do everything we'd like to at the Kerr Road facility. Because there's still some important facts that we need to find out from the township, specifically the zoning officer, and whether the Board of Supervisors is going to support the waivers that will be associated with some of those zoning issues. So I think waiting to find out if that's the case would be wise, and not voting this down this evening in case we have to come back to this. But from my perspective, this is the best option that we have. This is an issue that has definitely plagued boards for probably now 30 years. If Mr. Wegman's recollection is better than mine, and I think it was in the 90s that this started to be a real issue. And continually, time after time, there has not been the support to create a new facility elsewhere. And I don't think that there is now. So I just worry that spending the money on this, though it is minor, it's just not going to be a good use of our time or our effort. And that's why I think that we should really put full steam ahead into the Kerr Road facility rehab. It addresses all the needs we have. It's less expensive, and it will require some creative thinking around the supervisory issues that both Rick and Ben raised or 2 weeks ago. But those are solvable. And those are solvable for a lot less money than $1 million. So I think that this is just the wisest option to do right now. With that, I'll make a motion to table this current item. I think, if Ellis can correct me if I'm wrong, that's a privileged one that needs a second and can be discussed over the current discussion we're having.
No, I think, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Katz. I think that we can't table it, Hunter. We would have to, if you want to postpone it indefinitely, but the action of tabling is a little bit for a different purpose. Is that correct, Mr. Katz?
So technically, a motion to table is to move something to act on some other urgent matter that needs to take precedence over the motion that's being considered. So technically, it's a motion to postpone, either a motion to postpone indefinitely or a motion to postpone to some specific time into the future. In either event, Hunter's correct that a second is required, and then there can be debate on the motion to postpone, and then a majority vote as to whether or not it's approved.
For the purpose of clarity, should I change my motion to postpone?
Yeah, and the question is whether it's indefinite or to a time certain.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Mrs. Wilson?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Katz, if the board would vote no, would they be precluded from this motion being reintroduced next month or at some other time? Or if they vote no now, can this motion never be reintroduced, and as therefore the purpose of postponing it important in terms of preserving the ability to keep this alive for some future point.
You're talking about the original motion that's on the table, not the.
Right. If they would vote, if the board would vote no, does that put them from voting yes at a later point and therefore it needs to be postponed? Or I just want to make sure that there's clarity around the purpose of a postponement versus.
No, if the motion that's on the table were to be acted upon and defeated, it does not mean that it cannot be revisited at some other board meeting, or to flip it, it can be revisited at a future board meeting.
Okay, so
If it's defeated tonight.
yeah, so I'm thinking that we don't need to have a motion to postpone it, and we should just vote on it the way that it's written.
What was the purpose of putting it on the agenda if we're now gonna pull it off? I don't understand why we even had this discussion.
Well, this was what we agreed to verbally 2 weeks ago, to put this on for the agenda this evening, because at that time, it was the administration's recommendation.
Or did we just make it as did the board vote on putting it on, or?
No, well, I mean, it was moved forward, and there was verbal assent on my part, and I think on Allison's part, and I didn't hear any opposition to that either.
Yeah, Mr. Japina, I would say that, at the committee of the whole meeting under finance, facilities and audit, the administration recommended that the board put this on because it had been tabled previously to determine whether or not they wished the district to go forward with the zoning and run a parallel process at Owatton Creek along with the Kerr Road project. The Kerr Road, what was discussed at the committee of the whole was simply that we just need to submit drawings, not like a sketch, not a full architectural plan, and therefore we could just, Mr. Fike could proceed with that with the township to make sure that the Kerr Road was still viable. And the only way to see if Owatton was viable or not was for the board to move forward with going to the zoning office to actually see if in fact Owatton was viable or not viable. So I think Mr. Fike had suggested that, Mr. Fike, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have the minutes in front of me, but that doing both things simultaneously, would allow us to kind of compare options in that regard. However, if there are members of the board who don't feel like they want to pursue Owatton, if Kerr is an option, then of course that's the board's decision to do that. But just in terms of how we got to tonight, that was the suggestion of the administration, was because it had been tabled prior, that if we did want to pursue and see what Owatton would be priced out, and if it was possible for zoning and Kerr, that Kerr didn't require board action, but Owatton would. So that's why this ended up on the agenda this evening.
You're correct. And the reason Owatton's on there, Kerr Road, we can do that administratively, but you had tabled Owatton before, so we cannot do anything unless you act on it for Owatton. So that's why that's on there.
Okay,
Both of them will probably take about 6 months till you're actually voting on what you want, if you want to go forward on either property.
Yeah, I'm not clear on why we are considering tabling it again instead of just voting on it.
So the purpose of that is just because I believe that we don't need to vote no on this. It very well could be that this is the option that we're left with after the township comes back. And I don't understand the purpose of voting no on something that we want to keep our options open for. And that's why I'm recommending the table.
That's why I'm recommending we approve it.
So this is basically kind of contingent upon what the township is going to do, though. That's what it sounds like.
Well, we have to, this is what we're doing, is we are, the variance is we're going to the township and asking them if it's okay. And,
well,
I'm saying I'm not interested in pursuing Owatton Creek. For my vote, I'm not interested in that. I want to pursue Kerr Road. So I don't think that we should waste our time and the money that it costs in lawyer fees to pursue that option.
Just to add one thing to what Allison said too, the processes that we'd be following going to the township for a variance versus zoning relief are different. So there are two separate processes that would be happening at the same time to different bodies of the township.
And I'm not sure, and administration can correct me if they're wrong, I'm not sure that they are it's not a recommendation, it's just if they want if we want to move forward with it, they need to know. So they think, I think, something needs to be done. So they're trying to say, please do something.
Yeah,
That would be my
Mrs.
thought.
Wilson, I'll speak to it, you know, just to be clear, you know, from the standpoint of, you know, the superintendent. I've said previously, and I'll continue to say, and I don't think there's anybody on the board at this point who's disagreeing, that the current facility, something needs to be done, you know, and I went as far as to say, like, something needs to be done this year. The board needs to take action. This has been something that year after year after year after year, we haven't taken action on. It really, as superintendent, I feel like we do have employees in that building. Something needs to be done with that building. What I heard the board say previously when we were considering a Watton Creek, and this is my interpretation, again, I'm not referring to the minutes, but then when it was tabled before, I heard board members discuss the fact that they only were presented with one option, which was the Watton Creek option, and it was a Watton or nothing. And so to say to the administration, give us options, give us a menu, give us choices. We don't want it's a Watton or nothing. And so Mr. Fike, when he arrived, we had that discussion. The board wanted options. He dutifully went through the files and he discovered that there had been a letter from the township that indicated that Kerr Road could be leveled and on the existing footprint, a new facility be built that presumably would have the safety that we are looking for. It wouldn't have some of the other things potentially, like propane filling and other things, but it would have that safety there. So what the administration is saying to the board is now we have given you two options. We potentially can give you more if that's what you so desire. But if you want to pursue option A, which is a Watton fully, you need to vote yes tonight so that we can proceed with the zoning variance. If you don't, if you just want to say, let's explore Kerr renovations or raising, let's say, let's be clear about that. We're not saying renovations, we're saying raising the building at Kerr Road and building a new one. And that's the only path you want to pursue right now, then vote no on a Watton. You can vote yes on a Watton again later if the Kerr thing doesn't pan out, or you can direct us to, in addition to a Watton and Kerr, come up with a third option for you and we will happily comply. So we, you know, our recommendation is you are the stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. Our job is to give you options and the information and that we need. You know, what I'm saying is that non-negotiable is we need something done, whether we build at Kerr, whether we build at a Watton. I'm not taking, you know, a preference on that other than, of course, I think fiscal responsibility and safety. You're going to hear me say that over and over again on different topics. I said that with the nurses. I'm going to say this with this facility, but ultimately you are the elected representatives of this community and you know what the community desires for the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years are. So administration just is saying we need to do something. Tell us how many paths you want to pursue. If you vote no tonight, then we're going to just pursue Kerr in the moment. If you vote yes, then we'll pursue both of those in a parallel form. Did that kind of address that question, Mrs. Wilson, about what?
I think so, yes. Does anybody else have any questions about that?
I guess so. In kind of summary, the way I'm thinking about it, we have to decide whether we're gonna, you know, change the tires and get a new engine in the car versus go buy a brand new car. That's kind of how I look at it in terms of practicality at this point.
Mr. Miller, I'm gonna say I think it's a little bit different than that because I think changing the tires would be, you know, if we were just going to replace the roof and we were, you know, what we're suggesting, I think, is, you know, at Kerr Road is, you know, it's a very much a downgraded project. You know, it unlikely will not have propane on site. If we wanted to pursue propane, it would have to be at another site. It won't have parking for all of the employee cars and buses and vans. Some of the vans may have to be at an alternate site. So but what it does do is it provides a brand new building on the Kerr site with the shortages there. So I worry a little bit when we say like change the tires and that people think it's repairs. It would be a complete leveling and a rebuild new building, but just at a limit on the limitations of that site.
Dr. Miner, I'm unclear on that. I thought the initial plan was, and the initial costs that we were looking at were associated with not leveling the entire site, maintaining the cinder block structure that's currently there, but leveling and removing the sheds, the old sheds that were adjacent to the cinder block building.
Let me, I don't want to misspeak on that, so let me have Mr. Fike speak to, I'm thinking of it in terms of it's a new building, but there may be some.
The cinder block structure has a good foundation, but there's parts of it that have to be torn down. There's cracks in the corners and they go around the corner. The top half really has to be torn down. And from what I'm told, that quote we had before, it'd be easier to tear the whole thing down and put up a whole steel prefab building. I call it a pole building, but not a pole building. It would be similar to what you're going to put at Awatan, 3 foot high of masonry and then steel on top and the vinyl coated insulation on the inside. 3 bays and then storage on the side, but on the same footprint. Where the cinder block building, that's where the bathrooms and the offices would be, and the team room, if you want to call it, because that has all the plumbing and the sewer there for those things. So we're really using the existing utilities there. The non-cinder block, we hardly use that. We store things in, but it's the roof is deteriorating. I'd be afraid if we had a huge snowstorm, that roof might come in. But that's not where employees are. That's just, tire storage and other storage. It's basically 5,000 square feet that's not used. We use the 2,000 square feet block building. And we have 2 small bathrooms and a team room that fits 8 people. And we have, 40, 50 drivers.
And so, Mr. Fike, you're saying that if we did the rebuild there, we would be able to use all the space, correct?
Yeah, it's basically the footprint. We're not, and the reason I'm saying footprint is if you're building something on the same footprint, you don't, according to the township regulations, we don't have to go through stormwater management. We wouldn't have to build a stormwater pond or we're not changing anything on the site. We're not creating new impermeable surface, right?
Yeah, and what you said before was that 2/3 of the space right now we can't use. But we
it's for storage. It's not, we can't put buses under. You might be able to, the one garage, you might be able to fit a van in, but it's a wooden door that's hard to open. And I don't think we'd leave a van in there because I don't know how strong the roof is.
Okay. But moving forward, we would be able to use all of that space.
And that's what the proposal was. And that's what the township said. Yeah, you're right. According to our rules, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. But we'd like to see a sketch plan to just confirm what you're talking about.
Okay.
Now we wouldn't be able to put a propane facility there because that would require variance.
Okay.
But we could probably put a propane facility at one of the schools, that the buses go to. Right now, and on Dr. Hemberger's behalf, we have a truck coming in twice a week to fill our buses. If we get 3 more buses this year that are propane, that's going to be even more, or we have to find some place to fill them. And the cost of the propane being delivered is more expensive than the diesel, but if you add your own propane, it's cheaper. And in the long run, propane is cheaper than diesel. And it's cleaner.
Right.
Brian, I'm not quite so sure what I'm hearing. Are we saying that we're raising the entire cinder block structure or just parts of that?
Parts of the cinder block structure.
Okay, so some of it is intact and other parts of it are not secure. So we have to kind of patch it back together or piece it back together. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I imagine there's like 2 walls that'll probably be solid and the other 2 walls will probably tear down because if they're redoing the bathrooms to make, additional bathrooms and office space, they're going to have to tear some of it down.
And did we get an updated estimate in terms of what those costs would be? Because I think when we did the initial
I got a brief estimate from some architects. We're talking without an above ground tank, somewhere around $1.5 million. Above ground tanks would be about 250,000.
So what, 1.75?
Yeah. And that's, it depends, I don't know how the state would come back and require a light because our traffic and use is not changing, but we don't know. They might ask for a light at Kerr and Shelbourne, I doubt it, but they could, just for safety issues, which actually would help us, but I think the neighbors are complaining about having to have a light there in the morning.
And we also, it could be making less traffic if we do move the vans to Lausch and some employee vehicles to Lausch as well.
Yeah, well, the problem with the reason we'd be moving the vans is right now our employees are parking on the street during a normal year because there's not enough parking in the parking lot for the buses, the vans, and the employees' cars.
Okay.
So, and I know that will be an issue with the township about parking for the employees' cars. So if we move the vans out, that will take care of that issue.
Brian, how many accidents a year are we having?
We haven't had any accidents.
Since when?
That Rick told me that he can remember we've never had an accident there. Been close calls, but the problem is coming down Shelbourne's a long stretch. People speed. Coming up Shelbourne, there's a 90-degree turn there, so they're not going fast.
Right,
It's
but
just
we can't avoid Shelbourne. That's just the route that
you're
we
not going
take,
to go up through the
correct?
neighborhood. No, you're not going to run buses up through that development. It's a windy road. And I think the residents would start complaining if you're running your buses up through the neighborhood to get up to 562.
I'd just like to say about the Shelbourne Road too. It's one of the most heavily trafficked roads that we have, and I don't see any prospects for finding any relief from that. So I'm thinking 10, 15, 20 years from now, that road is going to be a real nightmare if it continues to be situated in the same manner. I think that the basic location for this transportation location is just unfortunate because it just doesn't represent a very desirable location. It's right up against homes and houses. And it doesn't offer any opportunity for even security fencing because it's too small. It doesn't offer the opportunity for any propane expansion or any other types of expansion. If we wanted to move to solar at some point in the future, that's not an option there. So I think it's, to me, there are so many negatives that it's just a real concern of mine, just to be kind of clear again, that, this doesn't represent, I think, a very good move on the part of our district to kind of invest in this. And I know since 1990s, maybe before, virtually all the boards up to this point have been supportive of a different location and tried to move away from there. That's why we didn't put any money into it up to this point, because they didn't see any future in the location. So this board is kind of shifting gears here, or at least anticipating shifting gears. And I think it's sort of ignoring the common wisdom that we had from our boards previous in terms of what they thought we really needed for the future of the district.
I just want to say something about speaking about that turn and the safety. I'm glad that the buses have not had any accidents and they've only had close calls. My daughter used to live on Kerr Road, and I had a number of close calls trying to turn out onto Shelbourne Road, and that was with a car. So I agree with what you're saying, Dr. Hamburger, that about there are a lot of limitations there, but safety is a big one. And there, you can't change that. Like if you've got a light there, but Mr. Fike, you said that's probably unlikely that would happen, right?
Well, they may, but they haven't. You've never had one there before. The state might come back and say you need a light, but if they did a light, they'd probably want it on a timer that'd only be morning and night, because I think the residents would be flipping out if it was on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It is a hard. Buses are a lot easier to get out because people see a big bus. A van, I think, they don't slow down for. And Dr. Hamburger's right. We cannot put fencing up there because of setback that we lose parking. But I asked Rick, they have yet to have an incident there or a problem. You know, and I think one of the positive things for safety is because it's in a residential neighborhood. You know, there's always eyes on it. You know.
I think we have a motion and a second on the, or excuse, yeah, motion and the second. And then we have another motion that's been made. I think we need to stop treading water, never get done.
I'm not sure Hunter's motion ever got a second.
No, I that's what I mean. We
So
have,
I think, yeah, so I think we're just, yeah, we're still back with the original
Right.
motion.
Yeah,
So
I think-
Do a roll call?
yes, I mean, if everybody's ready, we could do a roll call vote.
Could you clarify what a yes and no means?
Yes. A yes would mean that you are in favor of the district pursuing and seeking the Exeter Township variances required for a transportation center project at Owatton Creek. And a no would mean that you are not interested in the district seeking the necessary Exeter Township variances required for a transportation center at Owatton Creek.
Thanks, Mrs. Wilson.
Okay, anybody else? All right, Mr. Fike?
Roll call. Hunter Ahrens.
No.
Pardon?
No.
John Fiddler.
no,
Dr. Ann Herring.
No.
Dr. David Hemberger.
Yes.
Michael Chapina.
No.
Dr. Sharon McClendon.
Yes.
Huri Miller.
No.
Michelle Stratton.
Yes.
Allison Wilson.
No.
Okay. 3 yes, 6 no.
Okay, so that motion fails.
Mrs. Wilson, I just have one more item to report, which is that there's an additional suggestion around the bus facility. I'm not sure how important that discussion will be at this point, but that discussion, there will be a discussion on that at the next workshop meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahrens. Okay, moving forward, Policy Committee, Dr. Hemberger.
It's recommended the Board of School Directors approve the policies for first reading and second reading as listed in the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion's carried. Okay, moving on to our committee part of, committee part of the meeting, number 11, athletic and extracurricular activities, Dr. McClendon. Oh, no, sorry, it just moved while I was reading it. Dr. Herring.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. I'd like to start by congratulating Exeter Junior High's Reading Musical Foundation first place recipient, Harrison Brumbaugh, who performs Bciu by W.H. Spire as part of the Reading Musical Foundation's Artists of Tomorrow concert virtual series. He placed first in the Catherine N. Kortner, Rita Kortner Herman String Scholarship for grades 4 to 6. The Kortner Herman program is one of the most competitive and comprehensive scholarship awards. It offers string scholarships for students in grades 1 through 12, and in 2020, it provided 22 scholarships totaling more than $5,000. Also, the junior high school presented the first entirely virtual musical at Exeter and in Berks County, and it was a great success. The junior high school has initiated talks with a Broadway writer-actor to see if it is possible to commission a virtual show for the spring. The senior high school finished filming the senior high school fall play right before the governor's orders to suspend activity. Exeter Bciu student Maura Jones is using her time to splice the videos together and we're hoping to present the show to the public in January. It will be streamed through the service Broadway On Demand. And the senior high school's working on presenting an instrumental showcase for this winter. Joe has a small clip to share from the junior high school musical that I mentioned above called The Big 1-0.
If you're hungry for a story about a madman with an axe, here you go. Monsters and Maniacs. If you're hoping for survival when a zombie mob attacks, get to know Monsters and Maniacs. They got vampires and demons and goblins galore. They got psychos and serpents and so much more. They got they got ah. You know what? Why don't I just show you?
There you go, and that's a little
Okay,
snippet.
check these out. My 3 favorites.
We have so many talented kids in our schools, and I know it's because we have amazing teachers that are giving them the opportunity to shine, and I love it. So that's it for now.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. Dr. McClendon, Equity and Excellence at Exeter. Committee report.
Okay, so before I start with our committee report, I want to remember one of our members, Charles Lee, affectionately known as Chick Lee, passed away this past Thursday morning, unexpectedly. Chick and his wife Denise came on as consultants to help us at the beginning of when we were forming our committee, and they were instrumental in establishing and moving our committee forward. In fact, the beginning of the committee, it was only a handful of people, like 4 or 5 of us, and they did a lot of work to help us to move the committee forward. And Chick was involved in a number of other initiatives, and all of them involved either service, volunteering in the community, and also working to improve the lives of our youth. He first came into Exeter District working with Dr. Flam and Mr. Artie on the anti-bullying program, but he was just very passionate about our equity committee and just all of the work that he was doing. And I just wanted to remember him and offer our condolences to Denise, his wife, and his family, and to say that he will truly be missed.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
So, oh, go ahead, Huron.
Yeah, I'd like to echo the same. I think he was a very, positive man in his community. He was very much involved, and I give my deepest condolences to his wife, Denise. The funny thing, he actually looks somewhat like my dad, so that's kind of why I always thought he was a really positive, guy, and I liked what he did for the community. So I really appreciate all that he was able to do for this community, and hopefully we'll keep that going in the near future.
Right, and it was always all about the students. What are we going to do to help our students? And I asked him last time I talked to him about 2 weeks ago, and I just asked him, like, aren't you overwhelmed? Like, he's on all these committees, all this volunteering, all these advocates, and he said no, he was not overwhelmed because he loved what he was doing. And he said he never felt like it was a burden or overwhelmed. And that's because he had so much passion and commitment to the service. So again, he will truly, truly be missed by many. So for the Equity Committee report, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been doing since Mrs. Wise and I gave a presentation. I think that was about 4 or 5 months ago. So since then, we have increased the membership. In fact, after the presentation, I got a number of emails from people who found out about the committee and wanted to get involved. So our committee membership grew. Mr. Usselman is going to talk to you when I finish with this about the website, but on there you can see who the members are. I think it might need a little bit of updating, but that's listed there for you to see. I told you before, we had school board members, administrators, 2 teachers, we had some parents, but one of the groups, we were lacking representation of students. So since I had given that report a few months ago, we do have a student member, Carly Patton, and she's working to get a few more students. And we have 2 additional teachers that joined and another administrator. And what I want to say about Carly Patton, I'm going to see if she can maybe come on and talk to the board at one of our meetings. But I just want to mention this, that Carly represented Exeter at the Pennsylvania School Board Association's annual equity conference. And she was one of the presenters there. And she's doing some work in the high school, which, I hope to get her on to talk about that. So I'm pleased that we have some student representation. I want to see that, also grow with some other students. Let's see. Okay, so the committee, I don't know if you recall, but we presented our goals that we're working on. And so the committee continues to work on these goals. We have actually broken up into some subgroups to work and develop action plans about how we're going to be meeting those goals. 2 of the teachers who joined a few months ago, Miss Jessica Sutherland and Miss Jordan Sparks, they're going to present next week on his newsletter. You have to see it. It's amazing what they did. It has all kinds of resources and information. And they have a few things that they want to tweak about that we're going to talk about at our next meeting. And then in the February board meeting, they're going to show that to you. And you will really be impressed. They put a lot of work into it. And it's going to be very helpful. So Mr. Isselman, I asked him if he can talk about the website that he created and what information is there. Mr. Isselman, do you want to talk about that now? I have a couple more things after that.
Sure.
That
would be
okay.
great.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just put the link to the group's website in the chat, but for the public as well, the webpage is accessible through the district website. And it's just really a repository for all of the information that we've been pulling together over the course of many months. So it includes our mission statement. It has the board resolution, the anti-racist school climate resolution that was adopted back in the summer. Our newsletter that Dr. McClendon was just speaking about will be posted there once that is finalized from Jesse and Jordan. The minutes from our meetings are posted there as well for the public. So even if folks are not able to join the group but want to stay abreast of what's happening, they have access to all of that information. And as Dr. McClendon referenced, we do have a really diverse group of individuals on this committee, providing us with lots of different perspectives, which has been fantastic. So it's really a group effort there. And then another piece that we have that will be growing, I think, through the newsletter, but also through the web resource piece is resources for families that they can access to lead conversations with their children about race, about equity, about diversity, discrimination. So there are a variety of resources there for families to access within our community. And then again, a listing of committee members with their contact information. So if individuals have questions, concerns, et cetera, or just want to learn more about the group, they can reach out to any one of the members there. And to access that, it's just a sub-page within the school board's page on the website. And that's all that I have, Dr. McClendon.
Okay, I saw that Hunter put in the chat that the link wasn't active, but I was on that earlier, so I was able to get to it. So Hunter, he posted that in the chat, so I it was active when I was on earlier.
Yeah, the link that's there, I don't think links properly. So, Ted, did you say that it's under the school board drop-down menu?
Yep, if you go to the school board's main page, and then there's the committee information, you would click on that, and then there's the tab, a sub tab on the left-hand side under school board committee info. Then there's the Equity and Excellence Committee link listed there.
Yeah.
Or referenced there.
The hyperlink looks exactly the same. I don't know why it's not linking on my computer here, but I don't know if everybody else is having that problem. It's fine. You know where it is.
I refreshed it and reposted it in case that would help. But yes, it is accessible again through the district's website.
I think my computer might just be dumb. Never mind.
And that's all that I have, Dr. McClendon.
Okay, and Mr. Isselman, thank you so much for doing all this here work. We have such a great committee, and everybody is doing a lot of work and so committed to this. And I'm just really pleased with what we're doing. And I just want to mention that besides doing the website, Mr. Isselman also records the minutes of our meetings. I'm not sure how you do that, Mr. Isselman, because Mr. Isselman is participating in the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, he has a very detailed, very easy to read and detailed minutes. They are actually posted on the website too, so you can take a look if you want to see what has happened in our meetings. But I don't know how you do that, but you do very well, and I appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
So any questions for Mr. Isselman, or? So there's a lot of work by all of our committee members are working hard on this. And I just want to mention one of the things that we have as a future initiative, and that is to come up, develop an equity policy and to adopt that. And we want to work with the board to be able to do that. So that's something that we're hoping to start working on, and maybe, maybe the next couple of months that we're able to do that. And so one of the things that I had mentioned this before, but I'm going to ask again, if we as a board can get some training through the PSBA. They offer a number of trainings on equity and diversity. So, that I think that would be important, because we want to write a policy, and we don't want to see a policy that is words on a piece of paper and filed somewhere. We want this policy to represent what we're doing on this committee, which is to look at all the things that we do in the classroom and in education, to be able to look at it through an equity lens. So this is why we haven't just written a policy yet, because we want it to be meaningful. And so I think one of the things that could help us is if we could get some training from PSBA. So Dr. Miner, is that something that we could look at doing with the board? And if the board is, interested in doing that?
Absolutely. That would just, require the board to request that in the form of the board president, and we could make that happen.
Okay, we can look into it.
Okay, so I could send, if you want, I could send out, I talked when we did the presentation a couple months ago, I went over what they offer, but I can actually send that out in a link to the board if you'd like to take a look at that. But I think that'd be important for us. And I know there are a number of other districts have taken advantage of that, the programs that PSBA has. So I'm hoping that's something that we can do. And Dr. Heather Bennett is the one that presents along with some of our other staff, and she's flexible on what times or how long, or she can do condensed. So I'll get a hold of those the workshops that they have, and I'll send that out to you so you can take a look at what they are. Hope we can do that. But that's what one of our future initiatives that I hope that we can work on within the next couple of months. So I think that is it. Like I said, I'm going to ask Ms. Sharp and Ms. Sutherland to present on the newsletter next week. And I'm also going to be talking to Carly Patton, to see if she can come on, because she's doing some really great things, with the Berks County, but also, initiatives at the high school. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, ECF, Mr. Miller.
Let me unmute. Sorry about that. So the ECEF would like to thank the European Motors for their $1,500 donation to our newly formed Exeter Care Student Outreach Committee. This donation is designated for students in need that require transportation to medical and/or education related appointments. Since January 1st, this transportation donation has been used twice by 3 students. And then also the ECF is awaiting confirmation of a grant in support of diversity crayons requested by the district. So they actually have some crayons that are for the elementary kids that actually have the different colors and of diversity, which I thought was pretty amazing. So those are the 2 things that I have for the ECF.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. BCTC. Is that now Mr. Fiddler?
Well, the next meeting is the 27th. That'll be my first meeting, so I'll definitely have something after that. We did have a Jim Kraft organized a virtual orientation last week, which was very helpful. But the first meeting that I'll attend will be the 27th.
Okay, awesome.
And I would just say I gave a report on the last meeting that I attended. So there hasn't been any meetings since then.
Okay, thank you. BCIU Board of Directors, Dr. Hamburger.
Mrs. Wilson, the BCIU Board of Directors will be meeting for their first meeting of the 2021 year this coming Thursday at 6:45.
Okay, let us know. Legislative Liaison, Dr. Hamburger, you're up next.
Okay, just a couple things I want to bring to your attention, board members. There will be a virtual advocacy day in the spring. And this is something that PSBA sets up every year. This year, unfortunately, it'll need to be on Zoom. But the whole idea is to really strengthen, our advocacy impact, with the legislature. This is a chance for us to contact our legislators, have direct conversations with them, and discuss some of the critical issues that are affecting public education today. Certainly, they'll be talking about the need for reform in the area of cyber charter school funding, and I'm sure there are other topics that they'll want us to talk about. So they'll be providing us with talking points for that. But the important thing for you to think about is that you'll need to register in advance through My PSBA. So if you have a chance to do that, I would strongly recommend joining me, for that event on March 22nd. The other thing I wanted to bring to the attention of the board is that we have elections coming up, believe it or not, next November. And these are municipal elections where our school board members will be running. So just want to remind folks that, if you're planning on, running for re-election, or anyone else in the community who is seeking a seat on the board, there is an election calendar that starts pretty soon. And that timeline begins February 16th for the submission of nominating petitions. So most board members cross file, so you'll be required to have 10 signatures on for both Republican and Democratic Party members on your nominating petitions. So if you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to assist you in any way and help out. And I hope we continue to keep our board strong and in support of public education. That's all for my report, Mrs. Wilson.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hamburger. Township Borough Liaison, Mr. Ahrens. No report. Oh, okay. All right. Is there any other board member who would like to be heard at this time?
Mrs. Wilson, I neglected to ask when I did my equity report. We have several members that are on the committee that are on this call right now. So I didn't know Dr. Minor or Mr. Miller, if anybody also wanted to add anything or had anything to say. I meant to ask that when I was doing the report and I forgot. If not, it's okay.
I would just like to also offer my condolences to the Lee family. I didn't get to know Mr. Lee very well, but in the meetings, I certainly enjoyed him and his time and dedication to his causes and to Exeter Township School District, despite not being a resident. It was really remarkable. And I really want to say that the committee as a whole is amazing, and particularly to thank the teachers who are working diligently on the newsletter and really collaborating and being inspired to do the good work of this group. So it's always a pleasure to attend the meetings, and I would also second your thoughts on she is no doubt amazing, and we're lucky to have her on the committee as well as part of our school community.
Yeah, I will ditto the same sentiment on that. I'm actually was pretty enthused by some of the things that the teachers are doing in the committee, especially some of the diversity training that they are engaged in, that they're probably going to be hopefully passing it along to other teachers, which I thought was an excellent example that was shown in the last meeting of some of the things that they're doing. So hopefully it'll be, and I anticipate hopefully we can get that out to all the teachers to kind of have a better understanding of diversity in their community, and also for actually the kids that are involved in their classroom to understand what their perspective is. And I think it's going to be great to see what some of the projects that they're working on. And there is a cause and there's a effect, and I think it's definitely working.
Dr. McClendon, I would also just add very briefly, we had an in-service day yesterday. Yesterday also being Dr. Martin Luther King Day, in honor of him and in honor of his legacy. We had a service component tied into that day where we collected canned goods across all the buildings in the district that'll go to the Exeter Food Pantry. Our drop off for that is in February. I don't have an exact count yet, so I can't tell you what building won, but I know our buildings got into it. And actually one very neat piece is there is a student at Lorraine that made bracelets, sold them, made $215 off the sales of his bracelets, and gave all that money towards buying canned goods to go to the Exeter Food Pantry.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
to kind of build off of what Dr. Herring said not that long ago about having amazing students here in Exeter with the stuff that they do, that's just one more example. That was a great piece tied to yesterday. And we had some breakout sessions in our in-service day yesterday where teachers, Ms. Sharp being one of them, who Dr. McClendon mentioned, doing a breakout session on issues of equity and diversity. So we're able to weave the in-service day into it as well. So great stuff happening as a result of that committee and extending into teaching and learning as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's Allison. Just one more thing. I'd like to know what the next step is with the transportation facility. Like, where do we go from here? Because I don't want us to be waiting months again. So what can we expect as our next move?
I'm hoping that the everybody keeps moving around on my screen. Administration can move forward with that footprint and take it to the township. Is that the next step? The sketch?
Mr. Fike, do you want to just detail what that will look like?
Brian, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the sketches. I believe they're in my office, but right now my office is being redone. I should be back there on Thursday. The old sketches, so I can just put an overlay on top of it and send that to the township. I have to fill out their application and write a check. And then they'll probably come back with additional information they need. But talking to Will Brugger, I think it is. Broger, okay. It'll probably take several months because they'll come back with questions. So I'm hoping by summer I'll have a definitive answer on the property. And at that time, you'll decide, do we go forward with an architectural design on it?
Okay.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Mrs. Stratton? I hope so. Okay. Mr. Ahrens, did you have something?
Yes, I do. It occurs to me that this is the first meeting since some events I think that were quite shocking to everybody happened in Washington. And I know that we can easily react to any event or any new announcement in science and say that this is what our kids should be learning in school, or this is a particularly important. I think it really just underlined for me the importance that it has in having our students be able to communicate and to discuss and disagree well. And I just wanted to emphasize that in light of this. It's probably not something that I need to say. It's probably something that's already on the minds of our administrators. But it is deeply disturbing. And I can say that while I was at Exeter, I didn't learn how to disagree that well. And it might not be the school district's responsibility to drill people in a debate class or something to that effect. But I think there definitely is opportunity to expose students to having to disagree with one another and figure out ways to do that well. In that same light, I wanted to pick up something that Mr. Fiddler has been mentioning a few times recently, and I spoke about back in August, in saying that there is a tremendous ability and opportunity for us to expose some of our students who are interested to this local form of government. We have under district policy now permissions for students to join, I believe it's the curriculum committee specifically. In policy at this point, I think there can be 6 students, 2 representatives from the sophomore, junior, and senior class, and we may want to look at that policy again, and I'd volunteer to be a part of that. But I think it's really incumbent on our administrators that if they agree with my assessment of that being a good opportunity, that they identify students who can do that. My suggestion, and it was the same back in August, would be that we would look in the student forum. There's a great crop of students there. Maybe students in there will volunteer, I don't know. But I really think that is a tremendous opportunity. And speaking is probably maybe, and I try not to be arrogant in saying this, the best example of how students became involved while they were in high school and then changed over to being able to practice some of the things that I didn't do well when I was still in high school. It is an opportunity that I don't think that we should waste. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ahrens. All right. If there's no one else, if there is no objection, this meeting will be.
I just have.
Oh, go ahead, Yuri.
Yeah, I just have one last thing. From my understanding, the teachers are now going to be the ones in the next stage of getting immunized. I urge all of them to get immunized. That'll be a quicker time for everyone to kind of get back to normal. Don't be afraid of it. My wife's a first responder. She just got immunized last week. It's very important that we get this curve down as soon as possible so we can get back to a new normal. So definitely when you guys, as teachers, as anybody, as 65 and older, please get immunized. Let's get it done. That's all I got to say.
I echo that.
All right. Now, if there is no objection, this meeting is adjourned. Hearing no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.